Part 12. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 111. The combat test has come to an end. In order to celebrate the landing of all the CCF groups, everyone had a dinner in the cafeteria. Zhao Lin sat at a table alone. Feet got a crocodile from nowhere and ordered the canteen to prepare 1 fish and 3 meals for Zhao Lin. While eating, Feng Dong whispered, "Brother Bai, after dinner, there is someone who wants to see you. Can I not see you?" Ye Bai looked slightly distressed. "I've been quite busy recently." Ye Bai only completed less than a third of the 50,000 skill books of Wind Without Distance. There are only 2 days left, and there is still a long way to go. It would be good for you to meet him. Feng Dongzhen was very mysterious and did not directly tell Ye Bai who he was. Zhou Spirit Machine on the side spoke directly. "Ye Bai, are you interested in applying to Imperial University?" Before Ye Bai could reply, Zhou Spirit Machine continued. "Because of the demon god Fenki, the future of the wind profession is unclear now. If you are willing to sign a voluntary application agreement with Taito University, Taito University is willing to help you change careers. At the same time, all treatment after you enter the school will be treated according to A and level talent." Ye Bai's performance today was particularly stunning, which naturally attracted the attention of many people. The tower near the water gets the moon first. Ye Bai did not expect that someone would expressly deliver an olive branch like this. Ye Baiming only has a C-level talent, but he can enjoy the top treatment of an A-level talent. Imperial University is very sincere. This gift is not unimportant. Of course, Zhou Lingmao also contributed to this. After spending this time together, she saw things very clearly. The CCF group looks like everyone has a normal relationship, but in fact, the 3 of them are centered around Ye Bai. If Ye Bai could be brought to Imperial University, Lu Sueki would come to his door. Buying C-level talents and getting S-level talents is like buying gasoline and getting a car. According to Zhou Lingwei's original idea, he should strive for S-level treatment for Ye Bai. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. After all, Ye Bai only performed amazingly in 1 fight, and his own talent was still too poor. After Zhou Lingzhu finished speaking, Feng Dong became anxious. "Why are you poaching now? If they, the seniors who provide one-to-one tutoring, find a good talent, they must take it to their alma mater as soon as possible." Zhou Lingwei is from Imperial University, and Feng Dong is from Shanghai University. If Ye Bai is poached, Feng Dong will have no way to do business in the school. Fit nodded, "Spiritual machine, you are not doing this right." With that said, Feet looked at Ye Bai and made his own conditions. "Come to Motu University, Mr. Lan is willing to accept you as his disciple." Ye Bai. "Master Ju, something big has happened, the prophet has changed his identity." "Fight, you are fooling the devil." Zhou Spirit Machine couldn't stand it anymore and exposed Fight Strick. Any student with B-level talent and below who enters Magic City University can study under Mr. Ian's name. Is this a thing? Zhao Lin, who was eating a crocodile at the side, suddenly lit up. "Senior, I also want to go to Shanghai University." "Quiet, let's talk about business." "Zhao Lin, we are both C-level talents, so why is the difference in treatment so big?" Thinking of this, sadness comes from it and cannot be cut off. Turn sadness and anger into appetite, eat. Ye Bai secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Zhou's spiritual weapon pointed at Mai Mang, "We can give Ye Bai the best resources." Feet said solemnly, "We have Mr. Lan. After Ye Bai graduates, he can work in the command center and receive the starting salary of a warrior. We have Lao Lan. Taito University. We have Lao Lan." No matter what Zhou Lingmao said, Feet remained unchanged in response to all changes. "We have Lao Lan. Okay, it's still early. Whether I can stay in the summer camp or not is another matter. Ye Bai stepped forward to stop this farce from continuing. Let's take a closer look and think about the communication battle in 2 days. Speaking of the communication war, have you heard of it, Bai Max? Zhao Lin held his round belly and squeezed to sit next to Ye Bai. That kid Zhang Yun took first place in the overall score in number 3 middle school, beating everyone in number 3 middle school. I just heard about it. Zhao Lin didn't mention Zhang Yun, and Ye Bai almost forgot about him. That unlucky guy should have been in summer camp if he hadn't committed suicide. After the first batch of summer camp seeds left, Nanjiang number 3 middle school didn't have any strong seeds. It was expected that Zhang Yun would sweep the field. Why did Zhao Lin mention him? That guy went to Nanjiang number 2 middle school again and swept through the newly selected seeds from number 2 middle school. He was very popular in Nanjiang city. After Zhao Lin finished speaking, he glanced at Ye Bai. Da Bai, there are rumors in the 3 middle schools that he is coming to take revenge on you. Obviously. After losing to Ye Bai, Zhang Yun was greatly stimulated, and he even voluntarily gave up the opportunity to come to the summer camp. When Zhang Yun meets Ye Bai again, the scene will be very exciting. What a big deal. Ye Bai didn't care and said calmly. Let him fight Wang Zhang first when the time comes. After defeating Wang Zhang, it won't be too late to challenge me again. Everyone. High emotional intelligence, can you do something for people? Low EQ, in terms of life, Ye Bai has a lot of room for improvement. After drinking and eating, Feng Dong left with Ye Bai and walked towards the hospital. Along the way, Feng Dong passed many rounds of inventory. There are no fewer than 5 War King level guards alone. This made Ye Bai couldn't help but be curious. Feng Dong wants to show him who he is, with such a big background. Brother Bai, we're here. Outside a high-end ward, Feng Dong whispered. I will see my nephew later. Brother Bai, please be polite. Although he is seriously injured, he is still a god of war. Nephew. Mars. Ye Bai couldn't connect these words together for a while. Ahem, my parents have children all the time, so I'm a little older. Forget about it for now and follow me. Feng Dong opened the door, walked into the ward, and greeted him warmly. Nephew, I miss you so much. On the hospital bed, a pale middle-aged man was half-sitting, holding a skill book in his hand that he couldn't put down. Hearing Feng Dong's voice, he moved his eyes away and looked at the visitor. Second uncle, here you go. Well, let me introduce to you, this is my brother Bai. Xiao, sit down, I heard my second uncle said a lot about you, cough cough. After saying less than 2 sentences, the middle-aged man began to cough. The sound was like a bellows that was constantly pulling. It was obvious that the injury was serious. After Ye Bai sat down, he heard Feng Dong introduce the identity of the middle-aged man. Su Qingfeng, the former commander of the Fenglan Legion, is now the deputy commander of the Nightmare Legion. He has just returned from the front line. Hearing this, Ye Bai raised his eyebrows and said, that's what you said before. That's right, he is the strongest god of war in the Wind War technique genre. When mentioning this matter, Feng Dong was quite proud. In his opinion, since Brother Bai has chosen the path of wind warfare, and his nephew Su Qingfeng is the strongest person in wind warfare. Su Qingfeng is naturally Brother Bai's idol. Rounding things off, he, Feng Dong, is Brother Bai's idol uncle. Second uncle, please don't say this again. Xiao needs to change to another idol. Su Qingfeng was sitting on the hospital bed. Although he looked extremely weak, even if the god of war was seriously injured, he was still the god of war. His eyes were shining, and his voice even trembled with excitement. The Wind War technique sect has produced a real monster. Su Qingfeng's words immediately aroused Feng Dong's unlimited interest. Nephew, please tell me. Su Qingfeng shook his head. I can't reveal too much to you. You should know it in 2 days. As he spoke, he lowered his head and his eyes fell on the skill book in his hand, which was extremely hot. By then, Feng Zanfa Yula will become the most powerful existence among all wind mages, no, among all mages. His words were extremely firm. From the perspective of a god of war, being able to say such words was definitely not groundless. Feng Dong was even more curious, scratching his head anxiously. Nephew, can we stop being the Riddler? Has someone created a core skill that fits the wind tactics? As a genius seed of the wind system, Feng Dong knew that what was missing in the wind warfare method was damage. As long as you have magical damage skills, you can completely change the ecological environment. I can't say. Su Qingfeng pointed to his head and warned. If I tell you that you can't get out of this door, someone will come to seal the memory. Even if I take you away directly and release you when the matter is over, even I will be punished for it. So serious. Only then did Feng Dong understand the seriousness of the matter, and became even more curious about the legendary skills. Ye Bai also looked at the skill book in Su Qingfeng's hand. Wind of No Distance. Creator, Shura. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 112. In the ward. Feng Dong had a great conversation with his nephew, the god of war, and they couldn't talk less about the abyssal plane. Ye Bai was more of a spectator, listening to their chat. It can be seen that Su Qingfeng and Feng Dong have a good relationship, and they usually don't hide anything they can discuss from Feng Dong. In addition to introducing Ye Bai to Su Qingfeng during this meeting, Feng Dong also had another purpose, to inquire about the demon Fenqi. As the deputy commander of the Nightmare Legion, Su Qingfeng would never leave the abyss plane easily despite being slightly injured. The reason why I was able to be sent back to Blue Star for healing was because of demon god Fenqi. As soon as Feng Qi appeared, he was bumped into by Su Qingfeng. Unprepared, Su Qingfeng suffered a big loss and almost lost his life. It is precisely because demon god Fenqi is too restrained in wind professions. The most powerful Wuhan simply drove back all the wind powerhouses. If it were anyone else and making such a fuss, they would definitely be questioned in various ways. But Wuhan does such a domineering and unexplained thing, which always feels like a matter of course. Okay, it's pretty seamless. Feng Dong himself is also in the wind element, so he is naturally very concerned about his career prospects. You mean demon god Fenqi? A strange smile appeared on Su Qingfeng's face, and he said meaningfully. We can only pray that we are not on the same battlefield as him. Feng Dong was dissatisfied. Nephew, you can't increase your demonic ambition and destroy your own prestige. Ye Bai looked at Su Qingfeng and various information emerged. Su Qingfeng, LV 979, title, Wind of Assassination. Wind System, Space System. SS level talent, never ending when fighting a single target, every 10 seconds the combat state lasts, the damage caused will be add 10%. Diddy. Ye Bai felt that he had detected something hanging on the wall. Is the SS level talent so strong? You need to be stunned by the eye of insight. 99 ways to kill Su Qingfeng, self-explode your identity and let Yingju kill someone and silence him. Listen, is this human talk? Ye Bai didn't even notice. Okay, it's getting late. The Eternal Tower will open in a while, ahem. As he spoke, Su Qingfeng began to cough violently, coughing up blood, and the hospital clothes were stained with blood. Even so, the first thing he did before coughing was to lift the Wind No Distance skill book in his hand to avoid getting stained by blood. Damn it, where's the doctor? Feng Dong didn't expect that his nephew was so seriously injured. Before he could go out to call for help, a doctor rushed into the ward to help Su Qingfeng stabilize his condition. Both of you, please go back first. Deputy Captain Su's injuries have been recurring. Accompanied by a priest and war king, the two walked outside. When he was about to go out, Ye Bai turned around and glanced at Su Qingfeng. Perfect treatment method: take 16 drops of the blood of the devil Fenqi, mix it with ashes, and apply it evenly on the wound. After getting the information he wanted, Ye Bai turned and left. It's a bit difficult to do this treatment method. Ye Bai felt a headache. Feng Qi was also a demon, and this was ashes and blood. He didn't give him any face at all. You should have the most basic respect for the devil, okay? Looking at it like this, if you want to cure Su Qingfeng's injury, you can only look to your second brother. The two returned the same way. Feng Dong sent Ye Bai back to the dormitory and left himself. When he was alone, Ye Bai coughed lightly. Master Ju. Put. Master Ju, if you have this attitude, then I think there is no need for us to talk. After all, curing a 9th level war god is not a big deal. Ye Bai said halfway, without any pause, he naturally turned and said. But I'm a soft-hearted person, and I don't want to see someone seriously injured without recovery. Su Qingfeng's treatment needs. After explaining the treatment method, Ye Bai showed a warm smile. Master Ju, can you put down the knife? Why are you holding this thing up all the time? Aren't you tired? A pitch-black knife was placed on Ye Bai's neck at some point. You're a wise boy. Look at what you said, you treat me like an outsider. Ye Bai didn't understand until this moment. Lian Lianqin was struck to death with a knife. What did it mean? Master Ju's sword is so terrifying. Just putting it gently on Ye Bai's neck made him feel an endless sense of oppression, far more than the time when he faced the devil's projection. I have written down the treatment method, and the credit will be checked with you. Master Ju seems to be particularly irritable today. Boy, something big is going to happen in 2 days, you know that, right? Well, what do you need me to do? Stay alive. Yingju's voice was hoarse, and a slight vibrato could be heard. At that time, I won't be able to stay with you, I have my own things to do. There won't be any trouble for you from the god of war, but the king of war, you will definitely meet him. There is only one thing you have to do: survive, and do whatever it takes to survive. Yingju's words were rare and serious, and Ye Bai knew it was not a joke and nodded gently. Knew. Also, don't be alone with Xiaoao when I'm not around. Good. This is not the first time Yingju has warned Ye Bai. He seemed to have been wary of something. As Xiaoao's master, since he said this, he must have his own reasons. Although Ye Bai didn't understand the situation, he just followed the instructions. But, Master Ju, if you don't agree with me, draw your sword. For the big battle in 2 days, I have used a secret method. The combat power will be greatly improved, and it will also become more bloodthirsty. As he spoke, Yingju's voice gradually disappeared. Ye Bai's eyelids twitched and he felt a cold air spread throughout his body. Master Ju, is this an assassin driving unparalleled mowing grass? More bloodthirsty. Master Ju couldn't get too emotional and chop Ye Bai twice, right? Try it or die. Ye Bai is very confident in his own strength. If he dares to chop, Ye Bai will die for him. Tick tick tick. Time passed by, and Ye Bai waited for 12 o'clock to arrive and the Eternal Tower to open. Eternal Forest. Xuemen was resting when his peace was interrupted by a phone call. Who is, Uncle Ju, have you eaten? Xuemen looked at the phone with a particularly respectful attitude, nodding his head. A hoarse, old voice came from the other end of the phone. I found a secret recipe from ancient books that can cure Su Qingfeng's injuries. Please remember it? Okay, I'll do as you tell me. After hanging up the phone, Xuemen rushed to the abyss, counting on his fingers on the way. This trip can earn a lot of travel expenses, and I can pay off some of the debt. The majestic 9th level god of war, the #1 lone wolf in the star list, is running around for a living, and he doesn't know who he offended. Before long, Xuemeng returned from the abyss plane with a secret recipe for healing. He directly kicked open the door of Su Qingfeng's emergency room and pushed the attending pastor away. "Let me see where it's hurt. A mere 2 or 3 centimeters of injury hasn't healed after so long." With that said, Xuemeng poured down a bottle of medicine. Su Qingfeng's teeth rattled in pain, and his whole body twisted like a maggot on the bed. He roared deep in his throat. "What the hell did you splash?" "Medicine." Xuemeng lowered his head and glanced. The label on the vial read chili oil for torture, War King level. "Wrong use. Ahem, your serious illness requires strong medicine. It was disinfected just now." With that said, Xuemeng took out another bottle of medicine. "This time I was more careful and applied it to the other party only after I was sure it was correct." Hiss. The wound that had not healed for a long time actually started to heal. The medicine cures the disease. The priests on the side were extremely surprised. Su Qingfeng was injured by the devil, which was extremely difficult. He was cured by a small bottle of medicine? Before he could express his gratitude, Su Qingfeng caught a glimpse of the medicine bottle in Xuemeng's hand from the corner of his eye. Chili oil. Looking down at the red oil on the wound, there is also a smell. On this day, everyone in the summer camp heard a roar. "Xuemeng, I'll let you run 3 million miles first. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information." Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 113. 12 o'clock sharp. Welcome to Eternal Core City. Ye Bai did not rush to the Eternal Tower, but came to the Wolf's Lair first. A room with SS level clearance and a glass of rum. Holding the key to the SS-004 room, Ye Bai entered his own space. There are a lot of things that need to be sorted out, one by one. Yesterday, Ye Bai spent so much time on the 9th floor of the Eternal Tower that he had no time to tidy up. In terms of equipment alone, there are 3 pieces to sort out: Glutton's Claw, Power of Nature, Add 4, and Nightmare Wind. First of all, what Ye Bai took out was the Dowdy Claw. Reward for clearing the 8th level with previous SSSS grade rating. I have been busy with other things during this time, but I kept throwing it in my backpack to gather dust. Equipment, Gluttonous Claw, leave 60. Grade, S level. Attributes, Strength add 450. Physical attack, 800. Entry. Scrooge, after causing damage to the enemy cannot obtain currency or props, and the corresponding currency and props will automatically drop. Bloodthirst, when using the Dowdy Claw, gain 15% life steal. Cannibalism, add 100% extra damage when causing damage to dragon creatures. Advanced entries. Dowdy's Treasure, kill the boss to obtain equipment above S level. Number of upgrades possible, 8. Number of times advanced, 0. It's a functional weapon. It's common to steal life. The damage bonus to dragon creatures is also average. Ye Bai, seem to be a person who lacks damage. Among the 3 entries, Miser is the most useful. This kind of functional equipment can play an unexpected role in certain special scenes. If considered as a reward for SSSS grade alone, Gluttonous Claw is absolutely unqualified. The Dowdy Claw, which has been fully upgraded 8 times, may become SS level equipment, the kind used by the God of War, which is indeed very powerful. However, this thing in Ye Bai's hand is not even a semi-finished product, at most it is a fertilized egg. In other words, most of the rewards for SSSS level ratings are actually allocated to the buffs of the entire human race. On the contrary, the quality of the rewards I personally received has declined. If we really had to break it down and calculate the score, Yabai would definitely make a profit. The human race protects Shura. These words are not just words. When Liu Qingjian rushed back from the abyss, he was injured, but he was still the first to charge forward when facing the abyss sacrifice array. Li Xiaoping spent all her savings to find Yabai for appraisal, and went to the abyss plane to fight the next day. Even Su Qingfeng, the 9th level god of war whom Yabai Gong met, would dominate wherever he went as long as he did not offend the top bosses of any clan. He would still be seriously injured on the battlefield, lying on the hospital bed with difficulty even standing up. A person or a thing is like water droplets forming a river. Use actions to continuously refine the gold content of this sentence. The human race protects Shura. You treat me as a nobleman of the country, and I will repay you as a nobleman of the country. Yabai was naturally willing to allocate the SSSS grade reward to the human buff. Said as if you can choose. Shut up, I'm just comforting myself. Yabai rolled his eyes. Although I didn't suffer any loss, I still felt that I didn't have any shortcomings and I didn't take advantage. Yabai made up his mind. We can't just let this matter go. We need to let Xuemeng treat us more often. Putting the gluteus claw aside, Yabai took out the skeleton of the three-headed hell dog. After getting Yabai's permission, the wind of nightmare rushed up and swallowed up the skeleton. Equipment, Nightmare Wind, Leave 60. Grade, SSS grade. Durability, 2.841%. Attributes, Agility add 2841, Strength add 2841, Constitution add 2841. Physical/Demon Defense, 2841. Entry. I am broken, please fix me, I really miss myself as good as ever. Picky Eater, if you swallow too many SSS level materials of the same kind, the repair effect of the corresponding materials will gradually weaken. 3 Elements Mastery, choose any 3 elements, all spell effects add 28.41%. Shadow of the Three-Headed Dog of Hell, summons a shadow of the Three-Headed Dog of Hell, leave 60, to fight for you. When it is defeated, it needs to rest for 30 minutes before it can fight again. Yabai didn't expect that this equipment would be picky about food. It's not good for children to be picky eaters, most of them are used to it, so just give them a good beating. As the only SSS level equipment that Yabai currently owns, although it is a battle-damaged version, the effect of Nightmare Wind far exceeds that of SS level equipment. Of course, this is also related to the fact that other equipment has not been fully upgraded. Equipped with the repaired Nightmare Wind, Yabai's strength attribute increased sharply and became the highest basic attribute, leaving his intelligence attribute far behind. You've embarrassed the mage again. Yabai tried to summon the shadow of the three-headed dog from hell. Call. A strong wind swept through, carrying the fragrance of cumin, and the vicious dogs appeared. Ouch! Today's three-headed hell dog can rival a warrior in terms of strength alone. As Yabai's level increases, the Nightmare Wind also increases, and the strength of the three-headed hell dog will also increase. When Yabai reaches level 1000, maybe if he releases a dog, he can kill the devil. Yabai is getting closer and closer to the dog now, and he always feels like he can relate to it. Maybe it's because dogs are man's best friend. Return. The dog shadow turned into countless fragments and instantly flew back to the cloak behind Yabai. After the Nightmare Wind was repaired, Yabai took the time to take another look at the force of nature. There is no way, there are too many good equipments, and sometimes it is very distressing. Shura's troubles are beyond the imagination of ordinary people. After the second job transfer, the force of nature completed another advancement. In addition to the improvement of various entries, a new entry is added. Magician's Rod, 3 elemental affinity add 5%. At the same time, new advanced conditions are unlocked. Return to nature, collect 9 seeds and plant them into the power of nature. Obviously, the higher the grade of seeds Yabai planted, the stronger the power of nature would be. Now the force of nature has been advanced 4 times, and there are still 8 opportunities to advance. It has also evolved from A level to S level. If the 5th evolution cannot reach the SS level, the upper limit of the power of nature will be limited in the future. Within the range of options available, Yabai naturally wanted the best seeds. After passing the 10th level of SSSS level today, I will take the time to go to the trading secret realm. Move the ore bricks over and see if there are any good seeds. Today's Yabai is different from what he used to be. He holds 4,000 God of War merits and is extremely heroic. Of course, wine is the best when it's free. After sorting out the harvest, Yabai put away all the equipment and looked at the map on the 10th floor. On the 10th floor, players can choose between 2 camps and play the corresponding camp. Werewolf or Vampire. Choose either side, defeat players and NPCs in the other camp, and complete tasks to accumulate exploration points. Roleplay. According to the settings on the 10th floor of the Eternal Tower, Werewolf and Vampire will participate in a masquerade party. This masquerade was held to celebrate the awakening of a certain vampire elder, and the sacrifice was a werewolf leader with noble blood. Players in the vampire camp must ensure the survival of the elders, and at the same time find and kill the disguised werewolf as much as possible. Players in the werewolf camp must find a way to save the werewolf leader and escape from the castle before the party ends. The party lasts 3 hours, 2 times a day. After being familiar with the basic information and story background, Yabai roughly had a plan in mind. The Eternal Core Crystal was summoned, Yabai put it on his palm, and selected Layer 10. The familiar prompt sounded in my ears again. I wish you can clear the Eternal Tower as soon as possible. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 114. Dungeon. The smell of decay mixed with the aroma of wine, creating a strange smell. It's like sitting next to a stinky tofu stall, having a candlelight dinner, and drinking 82-year-old Sprite mixed with Lafite. A white light flashed, and Yabai's figure appeared. Before he could clearly see what was going on around him, a sharp voice sounded in his ears. You freshmen, cheer up. Get in line, it's time to receive your first hug soon. A young man in tattered clothes was showing off, his eyes glowing red, and he yelled at Yabai fiercely. First love? Yabai looked around and found that besides himself there were 9 other players in the basement, 4 men and 5 women. Friend, which camp are you going to choose? Seeing Yabai arriving, someone immediately came to greet him and introduced him kindly. There are 10 people in a group. We have agreed on 4 werewolves and 5 vampires before. After entering the 10th level of eternity, everyone automatically wears a mask, covering the upper half of their face. In this way, it will be difficult for everyone to directly identify each other's identity, and it will also prepare for the subsequent makeup party. Then I'll put it all together and the werewolf will be ready. Yabai said casually. He hasn't decided yet on what to choose. Choose a vampire, go get your first embrace, and then join the costume party. If you refuse the first embrace, you will be thrown deep into the dungeon, where you will gain werewolf blood. Neither seems to be a good choice. Information appeared in front of Yabai's eyes. Current werewolf camp exploration degree, 0%. Current human camp exploration degree, 0%. Current vampire camp exploration degree, 0%. Etc. There seems to be something strange mixed in. The human camp. Yabai noticed that there were not 2 camps in this level, but 3. Why isn't it written in the guide? Has no one discovered it in the past 100 years? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Like the novice dungeon that Yabai once experienced, the triggering mechanism of the hidden levels was too outrageous. Everyone only has one chance to break into the novice copy. As a result, no one has been able to discover the hidden levels for the past 100 years. The 10th level has been studied by the human race for who knows how long. It is impossible to miss the third camp. The hint given by the Eye of Insight also confirmed Yebai's conjecture. Historical results: one person from the human race has passed the SSS level, and one person has passed the SS level. One person has cleared Werewolf SSS level. No, someone once cleared the level with the SSS level of the human camp, but did not announce the strategy to the public. The whole thing is getting more complicated. Yebai sorted it out again. On the 10th level, there are only 2 people in history who have achieved SSS level clearance. Both of them are the strongest. The information I checked during this period shows that the most powerful Xiaoyao rose very suddenly. When he appeared on the front line, he was already a god of war. Except for the novice dungeon, he basically can't pass the SSS level, and he's just a little bit closer every time. Combined with the message board seen previously on the 3rd floor. Yebai even suspected that Xiaoyao did this on purpose. Every time he scores before the SSS level, he will take the initiative to give up and settle directly. Xiaoyao probably has his own reasons for doing this. Of the 3 most powerful people, one person is eliminated, and only Wuhan and Nightmare are left. There's nothing to say. It's impossible to find a hidden lineup and expect nightmares. This guy, the Iron Werewolf. Yebai immediately locked the correct answer. Wuhan, clear the level with the human camp and achieve an SSS grade. Xiaoyao has an SS level rating from the human camp. Nightmare has a Werewolf SSS rating. If that's the case, then it can probably be explained. The only person who found the human camp, the second brother, was aloof and might not be too lazy to tell anyone. Xiaoyao, stop talking, I understand, it's boring. Looking at the results of his reasoning, Yebai scratched his hair, feeling a little distressed. Then should I clear the level with the vampire camp SSS level and maintain the formation? While Yebai was thinking, a burst of curses came from outside the dungeon, accompanied by the crisp sound of a whip hitting the air. Hurry up, stop grinding, you little guys, walk faster. Squeak. The dungeon door was opened, and the pale young man from before appeared again, urging everyone to move forward. Hurry up, hurry up. Lord Earl will give you guys the essence and blood to complete the first embrace. What a precious opportunity, and you are still here. You should be thrown away as blood food instead of being embraced for the first time. After hearing this, the 10 people began to move slowly and walked forward. Use blood to complete your first embrace. Yebai remembered an interesting incident in the information. On the 10th level, the original way of embracing someone for the first time is to bite the neck. Later, Wuhan came to the 10th floor, and the method of first embrace became much more civilized. Putting a drop of blood on the palm of your hand will complete your first embrace. Yebai was very curious about how the second brother persuaded these vampires to be civilized. If you refuse the first embrace, it is equivalent to choosing a werewolf. Yebai doesn't want to be a vampire for the time being and plans to go to the depths of the dungeon. But the Earl's blood and essence cannot be wasted in vain. If I don't take anything for free, am I still a human being? As long as the blood essence comes into contact with the skin, it will immediately transform Yebai into a vampire. When Yebai wanted to harvest the vampire's wool, the difficulty was not high. A bold idea appeared in Yebai's heart. Shadow of the three-headed dog of hell. The dog appeared at Yebai's feet, very quiet. Yebai discussed in a low voice. I'll hit you, and if you're not dead, I'll treat you to a barbecue later. Is that fair? If you don't say anything, I'll take it as your promise. Shadow of the three-headed dog of hell. Being with such a dog owner gives me the illusion of returning to the dog pack. After discussing with the three-headed hell dog, Yebai took off other equipment, put on the gluteus claw, and gave the three-headed hell dog a gentle ace. Boom. The three-headed hell dog's health dropped significantly. The only good news is that it's not dead yet. Yabai looked at the three-headed hell dog. Status, Scrooge. It can happen. In the Scrooge state, no new props or currency can be obtained. The shadow of the three-headed dog of hell acquires the Scrooge status, and Yabai only needs to wrap the shadow in his palm to form a natural firewall. When the Earl's essence and blood fell, it could not change the bloodline of Yabai or the three-headed hell dog. Yabai would find another opportunity to collect the essence and blood. In this way, the wool can be harvested smoothly. As the team continued to advance, the surrounding environment gradually improved. The air no longer has that rotten smell, but has a slightly sweet smell. Everyone stopped and reached the end, standing in front of a huge and luxurious coffin. When Yabai saw the Count's face clearly, the problem that had troubled Yabai before was solved. How did the second brother persuade these vampires to be civilized? Is there a possibility that the scars on the vampire Count's face, the coffin broken in two under his feet, etc., are the answer? Yabai sighed sincerely. Second brother, this is a real punishment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 115. In the low-key and luxurious coffin hall. A hoarse voice sounded. Come forward. The first 9 people either completed their first embrace or were taken to the dungeon, leaving him alone. Yabai stepped forward and stood in front of the Earl. There is a terrible scar on the Count's old face. The scar started from the upper right corner and spread to the left corner of the mouth, dividing the originally handsome facial features into pieces. Without even thinking, you know who did it? Hand out your hand. The Earl opened his mouth again, and Yabai noticed that this guy's teeth were flat. Unlike in movies and TV shows, it has 4 sharp canine teeth used to suck blood. On the contrary, it looks like it has been polished by an angle grinder, making it smooth without any sharp teeth. With this tooth mouth, I can only drink porridge. It's hard to chew vegetables. Following the other party's instructions, Yabai stretched out his palm, and his palm was completely dark. The Earl frowned and did not take out the blood essence immediately, but asked instead. Why is it so dark? Didn't you wash your hands? Birthmark, this is a birthmark. Yabai explained confidently. The old Earl's suspicious eyes swept back and forth on Yabai's face. He didn't understand why the other party could tell such a clumsy lie. The old Count said angrily, change your hand. Yabai stretched out his left hand, which was even darker. Pretty symmetrical, isn't it? After giving Yabai a cold look, the old Earl asked abruptly. You think you're funny? It's hard, Yabai's fist is hard. Before Yabai could get angry, the old Earl dropped a drop of bright red blood and murmured. If it hadn't been for that guy, it would have been so easy to just take a bite. Blood dripped on the black shadow, fell into the vial prepared by Yabai in advance, and disappeared in an instant. A drop of the vampire Count's blood is in hand. The old Earl stared at Yabai, trying to see a flower on his face. 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds. About half a minute later, the old Count spoke again. Why haven't you had your first love yet? Perhaps I have rough skin and thick flesh, and 1 drop is not enough. Indeed, there are some special beings among your human race. The old Count accepted the statement, and while bleeding again, he recalled. Back then, there was a Taoist priest. Taoist priest. Element awareness. Yabai paid full attention and waited for the next step. Damn it, kid, I've already used 18 drops of essence and blood, why haven't you finished your first embrace yet? The old Count screamed, his face was much paler than before, his eyes were sunken, staring at Yabai. Ahem, really, I didn't pay attention. Yabai touched his nose embarrassedly, pretending that nothing happened, and threw the bottle containing 19 drops of Earl's blood essence into his backpack. The old count took back his hand and said sadly, "Kid, you have two choices. You can be thrown into a stinking dungeon with those dog-like creatures. Or..." The old count looked behind him and then looked around to make sure that no one was eavesdropping on the conversation between the two. He lowered his voice and said, "I will introduce you to the Duke, and he will reward you with essence and blood to complete your first embrace. I don't know what trick you used, but the blood essence you got from the Duke is worth 9 to 1. Good guy." Yeb, I called him a good guy. Leave it here to get kickbacks. A vampire is indeed a vampire, but he thought about one thing wrong. Is Yebai such a person? 7 or 3 open. 8-2. Chi-san. 7-3 is 7-3. Before the Earl finished speaking, Yebai interrupted again, 70% is mine. Kid, don't bully others too much. Then shall I leave? 3 makes 3%. Greed flashed in the old Earl's eyes. Even a drop of the Duke's essence and blood would be a great tonic for him. The two quickly reached a deal, and Yebai spoke again. The Taoist priest you mentioned earlier. When you come back with the Duke's essence and blood, I will finish the story with you. The old count is not a fool, and the transaction between the two is not guaranteed. Since Yebai was interested in the Taoist priest's story, the old Earl still had some leverage. The old Earl pressed down the armrest, and someone immediately walked into the hall, taking Yebai deeper into the hall. Kid, remember that you will come back even if you die. No problem, old man, don't hang up first. The two exchanged friendly wishes for each other. For those who didn't know, I thought they had a good relationship. Before walking out of the coffin hall, Yebai took one last look at the old count. The former vampire prince, the owner of this nightless castle, and the most powerful being in the entire castle. Until one day, he met a sword. His second brother is too cruel. The story of the 10th floor of the Eternal Tower is actually an infinite loop of one day. Generally, the traces left by players will be reset in the next cycle. Only certain people can completely change and influence this copy. Obviously, Wilhelm is one of such people. Yebai withdrew his gaze. The effort just now was enough for him to collect information. The seemingly ordinary old Earl actually had such a background. The eye of insight also reminded Yebai. Kill the old count, human exploration rate at 50%. According to this algorithm, Yebai only needs to kill all the leaders of the two camps, vampire and werewolf, to clear the human camp with 100% exploration. There's a small problem. Why is the exploration degree of the three camps displayed? Yebai looked at the prompt in the lower right corner and fell into thinking. After collecting 19 drops of Earl's blood, the vampire camp's exploration rate increased by 19%. The exploration speed of the other two camps has not disappeared, and it will even prompt me how to obtain the human race's exploration speed. Well, there is only one truth. All three camps can pass the level with 100% exploration. Thinking of this, Yebai couldn't help but feel a little excited. If a camp passes the level with 100% exploration, it will be rated at SSS level. Wilhelm and Meng Meng had already demonstrated this to Yebai. If all three camps pass the level with 100% exploration at the same time, then the score, could it be SSSS level? Add Eternal Blessing on top of it, and the score will be raised to another level. Yebai was startled by his own thoughts. 5's clearance. Can this bug be stuck? Just give it a try, Yebai won't suffer any loss anyway. Under the leadership of the maid, Yebai walked to a more luxurious hall. Like the previous hall, this one had been hacked. Yebai looked away, deliberately not looking at the cracks, pretending that nothing happened. The Duke was dressed gorgeously, but his face was hidden under a golden mask and his appearance could not be seen clearly. As with the previous process, the Duke dropped blood essence into Yebai's palm, trying to complete his first embrace. Not surprisingly, it failed. After collecting 9 drops of the Duke's essence and blood, Yabai was ready to change the bottle and continue filling it. The Duke withdrew his hand and said coldly, "No more, not a drop." 9 drops of Duke blood increased Yabai's exploration of the vampire camp by 27%. Vampire camp exploration degree, 46%. The Duke refused to continue to provide blood essence. Yabai was unwilling to accept it and asked, "Then do we have stronger vampires here, such as the prince? I really want to accept my first embrace. Really, I'm not here to cheat on you." The Duke snorted coldly. "Yes, do you want to be sent as blood food? It's not impossible. Just out of curiosity, does his blood volume exceed 1 trillion? Yabai looked at his 30th level, ready to go, and felt a little more at ease. If he really saw the vampire prince, Yabai would definitely strike first. With so much blood and essence, you haven't been able to complete the first embrace. Your bloodline must be very powerful. Under the golden mask, the Duke talks to himself. You still smell like a dog, a disgusting smell. You curse again. The Duke looked at Yabai and spoke again. I am willing to give you a chance to penetrate into those slaves and find out what they want to do tonight. Whether you accept the mission Dances with Wolves or not, after completing the mission, the vampire camp exploration rate will be at 50%. Accept. Yabai already has an exploration level of 46%, and after completing the undercover mission, it will increase by 50%. The remaining 4% can be collected by asking the old count to squeeze some blood. Calculated this way, the 3 camps have 100% exploration, which seems to be really possible. After Yabai accepted the task, someone immediately came forward and wanted to put the shackles on Yabai. No, the smell on his body will make those slaves think he is their companion. Take him to the deepest part of the dungeon. The castle that never sleeps. Dungeon, the deepest part. Dong dong dong. Heavy footsteps sounded, and Yabai's figure appeared at the end of the corridor. A group of ragged, unkempt prisoners, shackled and imprisoned here. Get in. When Yabai walked into the dungeon, many people looked at him with green light in their eyes. Be honest, after tonight, you will die. The guard said a harsh word and turned to leave. In the dark dungeon, soft sobs could be heard. Yabai looked around and couldn't find where the werewolf leader was. Suddenly, a shadow suddenly jumped out of the darkness. Yabai almost struck down with a thunderbolt. The sound of countless iron chains colliding was heard. The black figure knelt at Yabai's feet, raised his head, and stared at Yabai's cloak. His voice kept trembling. I knew you would keep your promise, and you will. For these 100 years, we have been silently waiting for your arrival. Ah! Yabai wanted to ask, do we know each other? The next moment, Haiying's words made Yabai's body tremble. You were sent here by Lord Nightmare, right? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjaya Old Thief. Chapter 116. Eternal Tower, 10th floor. Evernight Castle, deep in the dungeon. Hua hua hua. The iron chains kept hitting each other, and the black shadow was crawling at Yabai's feet, his body constantly shaking. You were sent here by Lord Nightmare, right? Yabai knelt down, lifted the other person up, and asked curiously, do you know my elder brother? Master Nightmare is your big brother, that's great, that's great. The black shadow raised his head, and Yabai could see his face clearly. The face of a middle-aged Western man is as sharp as a knife or an axe, with sharp edges, blue pupils, and bloodshot eyes. He looks like he is not in a good state of mind. He spoke again, with pleading in his voice. Can you take us out? Before I came, ahem, My eldest brother didn't explain it clearly. He just asked me to come. Yabai coughed twice, trying to make the other party understand what he was saying. Nightmare, Yabai has never even seen it. If you recognize Nightmare as your eldest brother in private, your second brother won't be angry, right? The third brother had no objection anyway, Yabai was sure of it. Listening to Yabai's words, the black shadow nodded tremblingly and was about to say something. A young werewolf nearby suddenly spoke with a mocking tone. Ignore the old guy, he's crazy. As soon as this was said, many people immediately responded. That's right, he hasn't been normal since this morning. He's been talking about Lord Nightmare, Lord Nightmare. If you ask me, Nightmare is a piece of shit, no, not even. The next words were suddenly interrupted. Because, a staff penetrated his throat and nailed his entire body to the ground. Blood slowly seeped out from the wound, taking away his life bit by bit. The owner of the staff stood beside the corpse with an indifferent expression on his face. You can't hide the werewolf's look. Brush. Most of the werewolves began to retreat, keeping distance from Yabai. At the same time, threatening roars continued to come from their throats, and their sharp claws emerged, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. A small group of werewolves did the opposite, protecting Yabai in the center and forming a circle. They are not werewolf NPCs, but players from the human race who just chose the werewolf camp. They saw everything that just happened, and they naturally heard the conversation between Yabai and the Black Shadow werewolf. Calling the most powerful Nightmare Big Brother, he appeared on the 10th floor today and instantly killed the rude werewolf. When these factors come together, there is only one answer, Shura. They met Shura. However, due to the special nature of the 10th floor, everyone here wears a mask, and their voices, body shapes, and appearance will all change slightly. Even if they meet Shura himself, they cannot recognize Shura's true identity in the real world. After thinking about this, they unanimously made the same choice, to protect Shura. Previously, a werewolf verbally offended Nightmare, and Shura took action directly, which was equivalent to enmity with all the werewolves present. In an instant, the battlefield became clear and the situation became tense. Only the strong smell of blood spread in the air. Put away the dirty things. I'm a coward and don't want to see blood. Yabai raised his foot and kicked the shadow of the three-headed hell dog. Gilug. The three-headed hell dog swallowed it in one gulp, swept away the werewolf's body, and licked up the blood on the ground. The smell of blood instantly faded away, replaced by a faint smell of cumin. Where did we talk? Oh, yes, what do you call it? Yabai ignored the tense situation and turned around to ask. The shadow werewolf said tremblingly, My name is Jack. Zyja, can you tell me what happened here? Ignoring the angry werewolf NPCs, Yabai concentrated on talking to Jack. 100 years ago, Lord Nightmare came to the castle. He was the first guest of the castle, and it was also the beginning of all nightmares. From Jack's narration, Yabai roughly understood the ins and outs of the story. 100 years ago, the Eternal Tower came. The SSS level talent of Nightmare Awakening is also the fastest to clear the level, and is the first to reach the 10th level. Just as Yabai thought, Nightmare chose the werewolf camp, achieved an SSS rating, and then left. The problem lies here. The plot of the 10th level is an infinite loop of one day, and everything will be reset. After the Nightmare left, a werewolf went crazy, Jack the Shadow Wolf. Resetting his memory has no effect. Every time he comes back to life, Jack will retain his memory and start a new cycle. This is not a blessing, but a curse. To this day, Jack recognized Yabai based on his cloak. So, what did my eldest brother promise? This is Yabai's biggest concern, even more important than 5's clearance. Clearing level 5's is nothing more than a reward. How important is the dark history of nightmares? The dark history of nightmare can invite Master Jew to take action. Which one is light and which one is serious? Yabai knows it well. Master Nightmare said. Shadow Wolf Jack had already memorized this passage and had no difficulty reciting it. There will be a young man in the future who will help you break out of this endless cycle. The moment you see him, you'll know it's him. Yabai frowned. This is too awesome. Could it be that the nightmare is still a great prophet? It seems that the nightmare said a lot of information, but in fact it said nothing. On the 10th floor, in the front section of the Eternal Tower, the people who come here must be young people. Helping you break out of the cycle, it's more like a big pie that you can only look at but not eat. The whole sentence that follows is even more nonsense. It's up to you to talk nonsense. Brother, can you be more reliable? Yabai rubbed his temples and had no idea for a moment. He asked again, have you seen the man with the sword? Yabai tried to change the direction. The arrival of the 3 strongest men before and after him should leave traces. Jack shook his head and explained. More than 60 years ago, I was killed by a new werewolf right after the reset. When I was resurrected, the entire castle had undergone earth-shaking changes, and there were sword marks everywhere. They won't have memories, but they will be afraid of the existence of sword marks. Apparently, Jack passed by his second brother. Yabai still refused to give up and wanted to ask about Xiaoyao. So far, in Yabai's entire cycle, there are 2 beings whose memories will not be reset. They retain the memory of a 100-year cycle, and start over every day. Shadow Wolf Jack, Old Coin Count. Shadow Wolf Jack was killed because of the nightmare of the strongest man, and the Count was killed by his second brother. There should be a third person, the third person influenced by Xiaoyao. Yabai calculated in his heart. It's a good copy, but you guys ruined it. I'm left to clean up the mess, and no one left me a guide. More money, you bastards. Crash. The sound of the chains hitting each other sounded again, but this time, it was completely different from before. When the dull sound of iron chains sounded, all the werewolf NPCs were as docile as lambs. They pressed against the corner, their bodies trembling. Boom. Boom. In the darkness, a huge shadow slowly walked out, and every step made the entire dungeon shake, and countless stones fell. A 5-meter-tall behemoth slowly revealed his true appearance. His body was covered in scars. His wolf fur was a rare white color and his pupils were also white. He had a terrifying aura. He was wrapped with countless iron chains and exuded a dangerous aura. Someone immediately introduced in a low voice. Lord Shura, the White Wolf King, a being comparable to the King of War, is a being that must not be provoked in this level. The White Wolf King ignored everything around him and only had Yabai in his eyes. Are you looking for someone with a sword? Apparently, he also heard the conversation between Yabai and Jack. Yes, you also retained your memory. I don't believe Crazy Jack's nonsense. This situation has been going on for 100 years? How is it possible? Jack was acting very strange today. The White Wolf King exhaled. But, I have a question for you. As he spoke, the White Wolf King raised his right hand and crushed the iron chain on his chest, revealing a terrifying scar on his silver fur. The White Wolf King asked in a deep voice. What on earth is going on with this sword mark? He woke up this morning and found this scar on his body, but he had no memory of it. Looking at the familiar sword marks, Yabai nodded and said. My second brother cut it, is there any problem? Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 117. My second brother cut it, is there any problem? Faced with Yabai's questioning, the White Wolf King shook his head. No problem. Hiss. Yabai couldn't help but look at the White Wolf King. The road was getting wider. The White Wolf King said in a deep voice. Even just looking at this wound makes me terrified. It's hard to imagine how one can survive from this sword. Correction, you didn't survive. Yeb, I believed that level 60 Wuhan definitely had the strength to kill the White Wolf King. I still have a hard time accepting what Mad Wolf Jack said. The White Wolf King crossed his legs and sat on the floor, his eyes scanning back and forth between Jack and Yebai. At least he expressed his friendliness and willingness to cooperate. The White Wolf King spoke again. Jack, are you willing to swear by the soul of the wolf ancestor that what you say is true? No, we can't. Jack's answer surprised everyone present. His next words made the White Wolf King's face look a little solemn. Ever since I met Lord Nightmare, I no longer believe in the wolf ancestor. Swearing in the name of the wolf ancestor's soul has no meaning to me. Jack raised his head slightly, his body was shaking, the hair on his limbs was growing wildly, and he was almost completely transformed into a wolf. Now that I follow Lord Nightmare, I can only swear in the name of Lord Nightmare. You betrayed your beliefs. The White Wolf King roared almost like a scold, and many werewolves were so frightened that they collapsed on the ground and their limbs twitched. Under this kind of pressure, Jack naturally didn't fare much better. He curled up and resisted the pressure with all his strength. A black shadow stood in front of him, taking a lot of pressure off of him. Ouch! The shadow of the three-headed dog from hell bared its teeth at the White Wolf King, unwilling to be outdone. The White Wolf King lowered his head and looked at the three-headed hell dog. Interesting, Hades seems to have raised a dog like this. It has no merit except a little more head. Listening to the White Wolf King's comments, Yebai narrowed his eyes slightly. He remembered a little thing. The vampire count I met before was originally a prince. The ranks of vampires are from high to low, ancestor, prince, duke, marquis, earl. In other words, the vampire prince took a blow from his second brother and slid down 3 big steps in one breath. The White Wolf King in front of him now has combat power comparable to that of a war king. How terrifying was your strength before being chopped down by your second brother? The adult three-headed dog king of hell has the strength of a god of war, but it is not worth mentioning in the mouth of the White Wolf King. What's even more terrifying is that such a powerful White Wolf King can kill him at any time in front of his level 60 second brother. The second brother said when he created Breaking Water Flow that this move could kill the War King. It was definitely not a lie. Yebai thought to himself, second brother's problem seems to be no worse than mine. Putting away his distracting thoughts, Yebai once again focused his attention on the White Wolf King. Shadow Wolf Jack, in the name of the Nightmare follower, swears that what he says is true. I will not be gullible because of my oath. I have seen too many treacherous guys, even werewolves. The White Wolf King's stance will not change easily. But if it's true as you said, every day is reincarnation. Life or death, it doesn't make any difference to me. Tell us your plans and how you plan to break this damn cycle. I guess your plan will go more smoothly with my help. The White Wolf King is a typical person who doesn't let go of hawks when he sees rabbits. Jack turned his attention to Yebai, and the audience focused on him again. Plans, well, I do have such a thing. Yebai glanced at the current exploration speed and the prompts given by the Eye of Insight. I need to gain the friendship of a werewolf. You must join the werewolf camp to accumulate werewolf exploration points. The White Wolf King stretched out a finger, his sharp claws glowing with cold light, and tapped it on the ground. You already have. Acquire friendship of the White Wolf King, the werewolf camp exploration rate add 10%. Yebai continued. Tonight is the night of the full night. I want to help 9 werewolves escape from the Evernight Castle. Okay, I will select the 8 cubs with the most potential, plus Jack. Is that enough? The White Wolf King was surprisingly cooperative. Yebai felt that a lot of this was due to his second brother. You're not leaving. Yebai was a little surprised. According to Yebai's understanding of the Eternal Tower, if he really completes 100% exploration of the 3 camps, the 10th floor will definitely change. Just like the previous third level, there will be new changes in the plot. Staying in Evernight Castle will probably not end well. In other words, escape means survival. I can't leave. The White Wolf King raised one of his arms, showing the countless chains wrapped around it. This castle was built to suppress me, that damn Prince Dracula. Yeah, I corrected, Count, now it's Count Dracula. Count. The White Wolf King was stunned for a moment, then burst into a series of laughter, and the whole castle was shaking. That white-faced old fool is here today. This is the best news I've heard today, if it's true. After defeating the White Wolf King, Yabai only needs to take away 9 werewolves to gain 100% exploration of the werewolf camp. Clear the level in 5 seconds and reach 1/3. Well, I also need to know your original escape plan. Yabai wants to complete the mission of dances with wolves and improve his exploration of the vampire camp. No problem, if everything is in reincarnation. There is nothing we can do to change our fate, we can only place our hope on you and your nightmare lord. No matter how powerful the wolf is, it can't lift itself off the ground by the back of its neck. Actually, it's okay, mistress, give him a show. Yabai lightly kicked the shadow of the 3-headed hell dog. The 3-headed hell dog cooperated very well. One head grabbed the other's neck by the neck, and the remaining head exhaled towards the ground, causing the entire shadow to levitate. White Wolf King. It's a dog, not a wolf. You are all canines, one family. The White Wolf King insisted, it's a dog, not a wolf. When I get back, I will rename them the 3 Wolves of Hell, and by the way, I will rename you the White Dog King. Will you be happier? In the end, Yabai won the competition. After the 2 parties reached an agreement, Yabai completed his mission and prepared to leave the dungeon. Good luck. The White Wolf King was dragged by the chains and returned to the shadows. He pointed at his heart, where Wuhan's sword marks were. If your second brother really exists, please tell him that his sword is really fast. My second brother still uses you to praise me. Yabai is not convinced. Are you questioning me, Wuhan's #1 fan? Accompanied by the guards, Yabai walked towards the hall above the castle, while also checking how to achieve 100% exploration of the human camp. Kill Count Dracula, human camp exploration rate add 50%. Destroy the Evernight Castle, the exploration rate of the human camp will increase by 50%. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjaya Old Thief. Chapter 118. On the way back, Yabai was not idle, thinking about the precautions for clearing the level. Today, his bloodline is still human, but he has the exploration speed of 3 camps. Something's wrong. Since the humans are in the camp, there must be at least humans in the castle, right? Yabai has been active in the castle for so long and has not seen any human NPC. There are no NPCs, but there is a human camp. This is unreasonable. Yabai was taken back to the previous hall and waited outside. A maid walked out in a panic and said quickly, "The Duke said that he will wait until the dinner begins before meeting you again. I have something very important to report to the Duke." With that said, Yabai took a step forward and rushed into the hall. Those who disobey orders will be killed. In an instant, the gargoyles on the wall came to life, waving their wings and creating strong winds. The empty armors placed on both sides also made a creaking sound, and they raised their weapons. The maids and guards' pupils stood up, their eyes glowing red, staring at Yabai's neck. This guy is a human being and exudes a sweet and alluring scent. They have been patient for a long time. If it hadn't been for the Duke's order, they would have eaten all the dregs from Yabai long ago. Now, since Yabai commits suicide, it's just right. Yabai raised his staff slightly, cast the spell at an extremely fast speed, and threw the 2 skills casually. Wind Fury. Spark. A gargoyle burst into flames, and before he could make any more moves, his health bar was emptied and exploded into countless pieces. And the sparks of fire spread like waves when the autumn wind blows down the wheat fields. Boom! Boom! Yabai walked into the hall where the Duke was with rhythmic steps. Behind him, continuous explosions came, and the most elite guards in the entire castle were buried in the sea of fire. The handsome guy never looked back at the explosions. No one survived. They are not human in the first place. That's okay. When Yabai broke into the hall, the scene in front of him surprised him even if he had been mentally prepared. The Duke, wearing a golden mask, fell unconscious beside the throne. There was a hole in the Duke's neck, and Count Dracula was sucking blood from the hole with a straw, looking very funny. Yabai coughed twice. Ahem, old immortal, don't you think this is embarrassing to a vampire? Look at other vampires, cold, sinister, elegant. Look at Dracula again. He puts a straw here to suck blood. He doesn't feel like a vampire. This copy was really ruined by 3 powerful people. Kid, you're back. Count Dracula, no, it should be called Marquis Dracula now. It's much faster than I expected. That idiot Bai Lang didn't kill you. Obviously, the idea of letting Yabai go to the dungeon came from Dracula. He is the master of this castle. Even if his rank declines, he can still control everything. It would be even better if he could borrow the help of the White Wolf King to kill Yabai directly. Even if he couldn't, Dracula made second-hand preparations and put the Duke down to suck his blood. Blood is the best tonic for them. After sucking the Duke's blood, Dracula's strength is also rapidly recovering. Although he only has the rank of Marquis, his real combat power is far from that. Even so, Dracula did not relax his vigilance when facing Yabai. We can keep working together, can't we? Dracula wiped the corners of his mouth clean and said. When did I start to have memories? Let me think about it. Oh, it was that man who broke into the castle with a sword. He was the most rude guest I have ever seen. When he mentioned the sword, Yabai saw Dracula's body shaking obviously. Obviously, his second brother left a deep psychological shadow on him. I can't forget that sword light now. It was just a moment. He only used one sword, but I felt like I had been chopped countless times. There was fear in the depths of Dracula's eyes, and he curled up and trembled on the throne. Poor, weak, and helpless. Yabai was very curious about what kind of memory he would leave behind if he struck a thunderbolt for him. Resisting the desire to take action, Yabai waited patiently for the next step. Dracula is obviously lost in his memories. Beheaded by sword light, I should have died. Who knew, I would survive the next day. The people around me have no memory. The whole castle is covered with sword marks, but they know nothing about it. From that day on, my nightmare has just begun. Dracula looked at Yabai again. I heard that a slave was also crazy. He kept talking about a repeating day, Lord Nightmare, and the like. I once tortured him, but he refused to say anything. As Yabai guessed, Dracula was influenced by Wuhan. It wasn't until more than 30 years ago that I met that Taoist. Dracula suddenly paused in his words, looked at Yabai, stretched out his old hand. Give me the Duke's essence and blood, and I will tell you what happened. Yabai was angry. You're such a bad storyteller, why do you want to imitate others and charge a fee? With that said, Yabai raised his staff and prepared to kill ghosts. All the cavern dogs must die. Wait. Everything is negotiable. Dracula is surprisingly cowardly and seems to be able to predict danger. Obviously, that sword changed him too much more than 60 years ago. From a cold, aloof, and powerful vampire prince, he turned into the sincere person before him. That Taoist said something to me. When he said this, Yabai noticed that Dracula's eyes began to lose their luster and became hollow. He was like a walking corpse. He repeated mechanically. He said. Maybe you are a pig. G.S% carrot. Yabai's eyes widened, unable to understand what was happening in front of him. Just as Dracula repeated the words carefree, Dracula's body began to change. His body shrank little by little, while his pointed ears became larger and rounder, and his nose turned up and protruded forward. To put it simply, Dracula turned into a pig. A veteran vampire with the rank of Marquis, whose combat power is close to that of the King of War, turned into a pig. Shocked, the strongest Xiaoyao actually did such a thing to a 1,000-year-old man. Fuck. I don't understand. Yabai felt a chill coming to the back of his head. Yabai suddenly had a new understanding of what Master Ju had repeatedly told him. Don't be alone with Xiaoyao when Master Ju is not around. If Xiaoyao sees Yabai, he will say, maybe you are a dog. Yabai really might turn into a dog. Don't get close to Xiaoyao, you will become unlucky. Dracula the vampire pig. Humph. Yabai couldn't understand the pig's cry, but fortunately he had a universal translator with him. The story is over. Dracula can understand human speech, and Yabai doesn't need to imitate pig braying. To be honest, brother, I feel a little sorry for you. Stop talking nonsense and give me the blood quickly. Wait a moment, this guy still has some blood, don't waste it. Yabai stepped forward, kicked the pig away first to prevent himself from being attacked, and at the same time began to bleed the unconscious vampire duke. After collecting a few more drops of the duke's essence and blood, the vampire duke's blood volume bottomed out, his whole body shriveled up, and his body was completely hollowed out. After doing all this, Yabai refused to stop and tried to gain more loot. The golden mask is a good thing at first glance and cannot be wasted. Why does this mask fit so well with your face? In the end, Yabai could only cut off the entire head and put it into the storage space with the mask. With the blood of the Duke and the mission dances with wolves completed, the exploration rate of the vampire camp reaches 100%. Okay, according to our previous agreement, I will give you 30% of the Duke's essence and blood. Yabai looked at Dracula Pig and said sincerely. As a person like me, Shura, walking in the Eternal Tower, what I pay attention to is integrity. The pig's eyes were full of doubts, as if asking, are you really a human? This is 30% blood essence. Yabai placed the vial containing blood essence on the ground and motioned for Dracula to come forward and get it. Dracula Pig approached cautiously. Then, a pair of hands suddenly grabbed his ears and lifted him off the ground, ignoring his violent struggle. What can he do? He is just a pig. Now you are my prisoner. According to the rules, everything captured is my trophy. With that said, Yabai put the vial back into his pocket. How can there be any reason to vomit out something that is eaten in the stomach? As for you. Looking at the Dracula Pig in front of him, Yabai was a little undecided for a moment. Take it with you first, and then kill it before you clear the level. Dracula Pig, kill me, now. Be quiet, or I'll throw you into the pigpen. After being threatened by Yabai, Dracula Pig immediately became honest. Without the two big bosses, the Duke and the Earl, the entire castle fell into disorder, with chaos and panic everywhere. Quick! Yabai rushed into the depths of the dungeon. The place was already in chaos, and many werewolves took the opportunity to break free from their shackles and escape. Jack and 8 werewolves squatted in the corner, waiting for Yabai's arrival. Grown-ups. Seeing Yabai coming back, Jack was about to step forward to greet him. Get out of the way. Yabai rushed straight to the deepest part of the dungeon without any pause. The White Wolf King is still locked up here. If possible, Yabai wouldn't mind taking the White Wolf King away with him. Even after being seriously injured, he would still be a War King level existence. Isn't this much easier to use than the 3-headed dog from hell? Boy, it's useless. The White Wolf King was sitting in the darkness, and the iron chains on his body seemed to be alive, tightly entangled with him, leaving no room for him to break free. Back then, when he was at the peak of his strength, this iron chain could trap him here. Now with only the fighting power of the War King, it is even more impossible to break free. Shut up. In the blink of an eye, Ye Bai rushed to the side of the White Wolf King, a sword appeared in his hand, and he slashed downwards. Heavenly King Sword. Stop the water flow. Boom. The sword struck the White Wolf King. The sword marks on his chest began to heat up, as if something was about to rush out. Not only that, all the sword marks in the entire castle changed at this moment, as if they had been awakened. Boom. Countless rays of sword light were slashed out, and the entire castle was shaking and shaking violently. It was accurately divided into countless pieces, and the chains on the White Wolf King were broken at the sound. And everything stems from the sword marks left by Wuhan back then. The White Wolf King was extremely shocked and didn't understand what happened. Since the second brother has chopped down this castle once, it has been destroyed long ago. All that is missing is a primer. Ye Bai held the Heavenly King's sword and let out a cold snort. No one knows my second brother's sword better than me. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 119. Nevernight Castle. Dungeon, the deepest part. Ye Bai slashed out with his sword, and the entire castle began to fall apart, and the chains on the White Wolf King also broke. Boom. The huge body rushed out of the darkness, the bright moonlight fell, and the blood-stained silver hair was particularly eye-catching. Ouch! The White Wolf King let out a howl, and the werewolf bloodline in the entire castle was out of control, and they all transformed into wolf shapes and ran away quickly. Walk. The castle was cut off by the sword light left by Wuhan. If you stay here, you will be buried with the castle. The White Wolf King leads the way, followed by Jack and other werewolves. Ye Bai was unhurried, and even had the time to torture the Dracula pig at hand. Old Immortal, are there any treasures in the castle? If you don't tell me, there is no chance. Dracula, I am the most valuable treasure. You are a pig now, please correct your attitude. I have a friend who can feed 3 people to 1 pig. Do you want to meet him? While Ye Bai was questioning Dracula, his eyes were also scanning the castle. No more, nothing left. As Dracula said, he is the most valuable thing here. In the collapsing castle, figures kept rushing out and reaching a safe area on the edge of the cliff. Phew, escape. Ye Bai was holding the pig in his left hand and the staff in his right hand. There was no danger. Werewolf Camp Exploration Degree, 100%. Vampire Camp Exploration Degree, 100%. Exploration Degree of Human Camp, 50%. Only the last step remains. Ye Bai lowered his head and looked at the pig in his hand. Kill Dracula to gain 50% human exploration. Don't you want to kill it and keep it for the new year? Dracula, kill me now. Ever since you turned into a pig, you have been begging to die. Ye Bai said coldly. If I'm not wrong, Old Immortal, you have a way to resurrect me, right? This kind of resurrection can also help you get out of your current predicament. Well, it's probably not the first time you've turned into a pig. Dracula, who had been noisy, calmed down, and the light of wisdom appeared in his cloudy eyes. He even spoke directly and said in human language. Kid, don't even think about threatening me. Everything here will be reset after you leave. As long as the reincarnation is not broken, Dracula can return to his previous appearance. Ye Bai chuckled and said, why do I feel that this time it will be different? Do you dare to bet? Dracula turned away and refused to look at Ye Bai. He answered Ye Bai with action, he didn't dare. Show enough sincerity and I can consider helping you. Yabai said sincerely. I am willing to swear in the name of Shura. No. Dracula didn't even listen to the content and directly rejected Yabai's deal. You have no credibility at all. You are simply more vampire than vampire. Thank you for the compliment. Dracula said angrily, I'm scolding you. Oh. Yabai used the power of nature to teach this unabashed little pig a lesson. Etc. Dracula knew very well that vampire pigs had to bow their heads under the eaves. You swear in the name of your eldest brother and second brother, and I will believe your words. Ahem. Yabai had an embarrassed look on his face. Isn't that good? I knew you planned to break your promise. Dracula's ears stood up in anger, and the whole pig began to tremble. Why is this person so evil? Yabai continued to do Dracula's ideological work. How about this? I have a respected senior named Yingju, how about I swear an oath in his name? No. The two parties bargained several times and finally reached an agreement. Yabai swore in the name of his second brother that he would protect Dracula within his ability and only kill him once. Dracula swore an oath in the name of the blood ancestor, signed a slave contract, voluntarily followed Shura, and at the same time presented materials no lower than SSS level. There was a reason why he was willing to make such a big concession. Yabai told Dracula that the White Wolf King was not far away. The hatred between the two cannot be explained clearly in one or two sentences, and it is not an exaggeration to call it a blood feud. No one knows what will happen if Dracula in pig form is given to the White Wolf King. Some wolves have a wide range of hobbies. Under Yabai's influence, Dracula quickly figured out the pros and cons and said sincerely, I voluntarily follow Lord Shura. Both parties agreed. Dracula opened his mouth and spit out a false tooth. A drop of the prince's essence and blood sealed in the denture is the most valuable thing in this castle. So dirty. Yabai asked the three-headed hell dog to take the dentures and rub them clean on Dracula. He washed them several times before falling into his hands. Prince-level essence and blood, left over from Dracula's heyday, a good thing. Putting the dentures away, Yabai said that he would keep his promise, and then chopped off Dracula's pig head with a sword. Kill Count Dracula, the exploration rate of the human camp will increase by 50%. At this point, Yabai reached 100% exploration of the three camps. Dracula was killed by Yabai, and a blood shadow flew out of his body, flying towards the moon, and the bright moon was instantly stained with blood. Then, countless bat shadows fell from the sky and condensed into a new human form, Count Dracula. Elegant and calm. He finally returned to the rank of Marquis, and after his death, he used secret methods to resurrect him, but fell back again. Count Dracula looked at Yabai from a distance, reluctantly came over and bowed to salute. My lord, Dracula III is at your service. Work hard, you'll have a bright future with me. Yabai patted Dracula on the shoulder and said seriously. I have here not only the blood essence of counts and dukes, but also the blood essence of princes. I won't treat you badly. Dracula, even if you know that you never do anything, why don't you try to cover it up? Looking at the three-headed hell dog next to him, Dracula felt that he might have chosen the wrong path. Be happy, whether we can meet again is another matter. With that said, Yabai summoned the Eternal Core Crystal and prepared to settle the level. A sad smile appeared on Dracula's face. It would be best if he could never see him again. By the way, the flowers and plants around your castle are well planted. Maybe you will be a qualified gardener in the future. After saying that, Yabai put his palm on the crystal and started to settle. Whether the bug can be successfully fixed, he himself can't say for sure. After all, it was Yabai's first time to clear the level in fives. I can only say, 1/3 of it is destined by heaven, and 7% of it depends on freedom. A white light flashed, and Yabai's figure disappeared from the place. Dracula was left there, looking around in confusion. Flowers and plants? Since when did my castle have such a thing? He has never planted flowers or grass. Looking at the flowers, plants, and trees around the ruins of the castle, Dracula's body began to tremble uncontrollably, his eyes full of horror. Where did these things come from? Yep, I just left. An uninvited guest arrived on the 10th floor. The Taoist stood at the ruins of the ancient castle, looking at the piles of bricks and stones, with flowers, plants, and trees swaying in the evening wind behind him. Walking on the ruins, he said casually. Non-vegetation. The vegetation began to change slowly, and a person actually appeared. As soon as they appeared, they immediately knelt on the ground and did not dare to raise their heads. Grown-ups. The old man kneeling at the front had a hoarse voice. Thank you, sir, for saving me from the suffering of reincarnation. For more than 30 years, these flowers, plants, and trees have been outside the castle, undisturbed. 30 years seemed like a blink of an eye to them, passing by in the blink of an eye. They have not experienced killings, battles, or the vicissitudes of time, but as vegetation, silently watching the stars change day after day. The human NPC that Yebai has been looking for is actually here. Throughout the castle, Dracula and Jack, who were suffering from the pain of reincarnation, were tortured to the point of being reduced to human form. However, the human NPC did not suffer from the pain of reincarnation. Not my business. The Taoist turned his back to everyone, walking on the ruins, looking down at the remaining sword energy. It's just a matter of loyalty to others. Wherever he went, the sword energy converged and disappeared into the Taoist's body. After walking around every corner, gathering all the sword energy, the Taoist stood still and shook his head, mocking himself and said, "Boring. The white clouds are leisurely and do not express sorrow." The Taoist returned to the 99th floor and sat cross-legged on the futon. After closing his eyes for a moment, he opened them again, with a look of fatigue on his brows. A white wolf-haired green bamboo pen was held by the Taoist. The tip of the pen was dipped in cinnabar, making it extremely bright red. The Taoist's hand was very steady, and the tip of his pen turned around, adding an extra stroke to the line, S. The ink is still wet. The next second, the entire human race in the Eternal Tower received a notice. Congratulations to player Shura for reaching the 10th level of SSSSS evaluation. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 120. Congratulations to player Shura for reaching the 10th level of SSSSS evaluation. Yebai was drinking in the wolf lair when this announcement appeared. The wine glass he just picked up stopped in mid-air, and Yebai looked at Daimon. Daimon immediately said, "I'll take this cup." "That's so embarrassing." Gila gila. Yebai held the empty wine glass and looked around to see who else was planning to treat him. However, at this point, everyone is busy attacking the Eternal Tower, and few people are hanging out in the wolf lair. Well. Yebai sighed and silently pushed the wine glass back. "Have a glass of water." After clearing level 5s, Yebai finally got stuck. But the problem is that the ratings are out, but what about the rewards? No rewards were seen for individuals or the human race as a whole. Could it be that the big one is at the back? Yebai didn't have to wait long before an unjust man broke into the wolf's den in a hurry. "Come on, come into the house with me." Xuemeng strode toward the innermost office. "It's not convenient to talk outside." After the two left, the ladies at the front desk of Wolf Nest were talking quietly. "Sister Meng, is that fourth brother?" Having such a good relationship with Xuemeng, it must be that one. They all speculated about Yebai's true identity and whether he was Shura. Diamond shook his head and chuckled. "What are you little ladies thinking? Didn't you see the fourth brother drinking here at the time just announced?" "That's right." Everyone nodded. When Shura passed the level, the star lone wolf of the warrior level was drinking. It was absolutely unmistakable. Diamond spoke again. I know fourth brother personally. He has some relationship with the most powerful nightmare. He was born because of Shura. Her explanation made sense both emotionally and rationally, and no one thought much about it. Okay, send 2 boxes of beer to the door of Xuemeng's office and charge it to my account. Inside Xuemeng's office. Boy, you are planning to break the sky. Xuemeng was panting, his whole body was still injured, and his breath was unstable. Ye Bai was more concerned about another thing. Why are you looking for me? You can't just talk about this, right? The strange old man asked me to bring you a message. Xuemeng said angrily, he said, don't do this kind of thing in the future. Oh. Ye Bai seemed to understand, in other words, you can still continue to do it. Xuemeng was shocked by Ye Bai's understanding. Get the point straight. His original words were that they should be separated by at least 10 floors. It's up to you to decide. Now that Xuemeng has arrived, it's Shura's own business to decide what to do. I understand. You can clear the 10th floor in 5 seconds. Is there anything else you can do? Xuemeng. The strange old man said, don't enter the Eternal Tower today, just stay in the Eternal Core City, otherwise something will happen easily. Also, the reward for 5 seconds rating takes a little more time. Understand? Ye Bai is very aware of bugs. Although GM Xiaoao is protecting me, if I jump too much, I might be banned from the Eternal Tower. If you get a bargain, you have to behave well. Also, you must never be alone with the weird old man. Xuemeng warned. You have no idea what that guy is thinking. It's strange. Master Ju also warned me like this. Why don't you make your words more clear? Ye Bai has always wanted to know what happened to the strongest Xiaoao. The 3 most powerful men are all mysterious from the perspective of ordinary people. However, Xiaoao is particularly mysterious. That weird old man, how should I put it, he always thinks about some strange questions. Xuemeng did not hide anything and spoke frankly. The first time I met him, the old man asked me if it was possible that I was a horse. As a result, I turned into a wild horse and ran wildly on the grassland all night. Ye Bai. I have a friend who is very interested in running wildly. Can you tell me more? That's it? Ye Bai had an intuition that although Master Ju and Xuemeng had the same warning, their starting points were completely different. If he just turned into an animal, it would not be a big deal to Ye Bai. Yingju didn't need to remind himself in such a serious tone. As far as Ye Bai knows, Yingju is Xiaoao's master. To a certain extent, he is one of the people who knows Xiaoao best. That's not all. The whole person is weird. Just as Xuemeng was about to say something, there was a knock on the door. Dong dong dong. Ye Bai took the initiative. I'll open the door. Xuemeng was very satisfied with Shura's attitude and felt that he finally had a bit of a God of War card. Opening the door, Ye Bai saw 2 boxes of beer on the ground. Ye Bai picked up 2 bottles and put the rest into the storage space. Ye Bai turned back and said naturally. Sister Meng invites us to drink. Ye Bai opened the beer, 1 bottle for each person, which was fair. Go on. The strange old man is very old, and he and my eldest father are actually from the same era. Xuemeng took a sip of beer and talked about Xi and me back then. The big daddy in Xuemeng's mouth is the most powerful nightmare, the first most powerful person. Xiaoao is actually a contemporary of him. Ye Bai frowned, this was the first time he heard about this. It's strange that the old man awakened his talent very late, and woke up his talent while lying in the ICU. It was even in the news at first, as he was the oldest person to awaken his talent. Xuemeng continued. Lao Lan privately told my second father that if he hadn't been about to die, Mr. Wei would never have entered the Eternal Tower. Hearing this, Ye Bai became even more silent. There are too many unreasonable things in what Xiao Ao did. Although he was a contemporary of Nightmare, he had never set foot in the Eternal Tower in the first few decades of his life. It wasn't until the deadline was approaching that Xiao Ao entered the Eternal Tower reluctantly. Then, Xiao Ao casually awakened his SSS-level talent, casually found Yingju as his master, casually broke into the 99th floor, casually killed a demon, and became the most powerful, becoming the third most powerful person in the human race. Strong. This is no longer Shuangwen's protagonist's script, this is the Tower's son's script, right? Ye Bai felt unable to complain. Xuemeng drank all the beer in the bottle and spread his hands. That's all I know about Wei Lao Dao. In fact, many people don't understand Wei Lao Dao. After he became the most powerful person, he rarely left the Eternal Tower. Most issues in the human race are resolved through the six-party talks. Even if the most powerful person needs to step forward, it will be my eldest and second daddy who will step forward. Also, except for Uncle Ju, the strongest monsters in the shadows are all in awe of the strange old man. Xuemeng hesitated for a moment, but finally chose to speak out what was in his heart. However, I suggest that if you have the opportunity, you should learn more about the strongest Xiao Ao. Oh? What can you say? Ye Bai believed that with Xuemeng's mind, he would never say this out of nowhere. Since he said that, he must have his reasons. Actually, I heard this from my second father in private. Don't tell anyone else, you're the only one I've ever mentioned this to. Xuemeng lowered his voice. There is actually a similar inheritance between each of the most powerful people and the previous most powerful person. In other words, is it more like a relationship between senior fellow apprentices? I guessed it. After all, I overheard what my second father said and didn't listen too carefully. Xuemeng is really good at cheating on his father. Ye Bai raised his eyebrows. According to this statement, nightmare means traceless, and traceless means happy. Xiao Ao, bring Shura. Ye Bai imagined the scene in his mind, waiting for him to meet the most powerful Xiao Ao on the 99th floor. When the two met, one was personable and handsome, while the other was cool-headed, like a god. Then, at this historic moment, Xiao Ao said calmly, "Is it possible that you are a dog?" Ye Bai. Impossible, absolutely impossible.